Hey everyone, this is Casey Martin from Wine Country Woodworks, and this is going to be a really awesome video where I am making a ton of limited edition pen blanks. And when I say a ton, I mean a little over 150, which is pretty cool. So longer video, casting a lot of these. I'm trying to speed up as much of the boring portions as possible of me mixing and skipping over some of the parts of, for instance, putting the wood in the mold and hot gluing it down, and just trying to keep as much of the fun parts in this particular video. If anybody is interested in kind of more of the how-to aspects of making these pen blanks, I have tons of videos on those, over probably 100 at this point. So I'm sure you'll either see it on the recommendations from YouTube, or you can just go to my channel and scroll through and find whatever you're looking for. I have tons of videos on all the different aspects of the process, including stabilizing and things like that before the actual casting portion as well. So on this particular batch of 3, I'm going with what I like to kind of call like an aqua look on the far left. It's a very transparent one. I'll do some also off camera in this particular video. Like I said, I end up casting 150. The video is already probably going to be around 10 minutes long. I didn't want to make it a 20-minute long video for you guys, so there are a handful of blanks you'll see towards the end when we're cutting them and checking them out that aren't filmed. But the aqua, sometimes I'll keep it clear like I did right there. Sometimes I'll do kind of an oceanic look, which I do with some of them, where I make like waves with some of the white resin. So the middle is a nice deep blue, one of my favorite colors, and then on the right we're doing a black and white swirl. So one of the things I tried to do, since I was making so many of these blanks, and these are of course going to be up on my Etsy for purchase for anybody who wants to turn these blanks into pens or whatever your heart desires, they're available for purchase. So like I mentioned, the link will be in the video description for those. But where I was going with that is I tried to make as much variety as possible, some with kind of just singular, very vibrant colors, some with color swirls like the black and white I showed. Later on we'll show some that are multicolors, talking about like 5 or 7 different colors, and then some with some of the gold leaf and silver leaf and stuff like that. So to talk a little bit about the wood for this particular video, all of these blanks, pretty much every single piece of wood is all maple burl. I believe there are a few of them that are box elder burl, but I have a ton of maple burl at the moment. I've been making YouTube videos on the home I'm renovating, and I figured, hey, I'd love to make a kind of classic to my channel YouTube video around resin casting pen blanks. So let's cut up a ton of this maple burl and cast some. So that's what I did. And if anybody is interested in any custom orders for particular sizes, I still have massive chunks of that burl uncut. So totally open to that. If anybody has some cool ideas for any particular projects that they're interested in, don't hesitate to reach out. I have my email in the video description, and also you can put a comment down. So those previous ones that we were casting, really liked those. Especially, I'm always a sucker for the gold leaf. Personally, it's kind of one of my favorites. It just, with the Alumilite clear, when it comes out just so crystal clear in the gold leaf, I just think it looks so great. So on this particular casting that we're doing now, this is one where, let's count them up, 2, 4, 6, 7 colors. And I kind of just chose almost all of the different colors that I had. And how I make these opaque is I put in a opaque white base, and then I just use my transparent dye to add the color, but that white base is what makes it opaque and really cool looking with the color swirls. And then when it comes to mixing them up, there's really no rhyme or reason when you're trying to just kind of go for a massive color mix like this. The biggest piece of advice I could give, and I've made some dedicated color swirl videos too if you're interested in checking those out, but the biggest advice I could give is to just kind of go slow. Like, you don't need to dump in all of the color at once. You kind of want to go at a somewhat even pace with all of them, continually kind of go back, and that should give you as close to an equal distribution of the colors as possible. It's never going to be perfect. It's never right an exact science, but that's kind of the biggest thing I could give, and it's also going to help alleviate the colors bleeding together and creating, you know, like a brown or some type of undesired effect. The other thing I'll recommend is what I'm doing right here, where I kind of try to lightly put the colors on. That will allow it to kind of sit on the top and not dive through, if that makes sense. So there's kind of times to let it dive through, like at the beginning, when you're trying to get more of that equal distribution at the beginning, and then times to just kind of like throw it on the top, if you will, just kind of wiggle it around like I'm doing there. And then in terms of adding the swirls, super straightforward. Just, you know, move it around with a popsicle stick or whatever type of mixing stick you have. I used to use barbecue skewers in the past. Those work great too for tight spaces, but really no rhyme or reason to how you swirl it. It's all going to come out pretty much the same no matter how you swirl it. These last two right here, these are a interference gold and an interference green, which both are Wine Country mica powders. If anybody is interested in those, they are now on Turntex. You can order those through Turntex whenever you're getting your cactus juice or Alumilite resins through them. I am personally a sucker for the interference colors. When I first started resin casting, 9 years ago, which is crazy to think, it's almost been 10 years. Those were some of my favorites then, and they still are now. Whether it's blue or green, which is what we have on the right, and on the left is an interference gold. But man, I mean, you can kind of see when it's coming out of the cup, the light refracting off of it, how it just has all the different shades of that particular color. But in person, it is incredible, in my opinion. Some people might not like it as much as me, but I love it. Here are all of them. Like I said, I made about an equal amount off camera. As I said, I just didn't want it to be a hugely long video. This right here is me cutting all 150 of the pen blanks. The time lapse, I believe, is cut down to around 30 seconds, but I was out here for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And as I have mentioned in some of my update videos, I've got a pregnant wife due in a couple weeks and a toddler. So of course was doing this at like 9 or 10 p.m. at night, because kind of the only time I can get out here when I have a full-time job and also a home renovation project going on the weekends. And here they all are. The fun part of spraying this, I just use a classic just spray lacquer. I've used Deft in the past. This is a Rust-Oleum one. I also will show some of the photos of these. I need to kind of rearrange the lighting I have around my table saw. It works great, but in terms of photos and videos, it's a little harsh. My old shop that I had in college for several years, I wasn't using the shop lights where I would take photos. They were more of the LED bulbs, and I think I need to get some of those. But you can see tons of super cool blanks. Really excited to see some of the beautiful projects that people make out of these. Those are some of those oceanic ones I was talking about. Really love that effect. Always going to be one of my go-tos. I'll never get tired of it. And then some of the very beautiful, just deep singular colors. There's one of the interference ones. And here's a bunch of the snapshots where I was trying to make the lighting less harsh. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you're new and want to stick around, and leave a comment down below with what you think. Awesome being back in the shop making a fun video like this for you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.